Sounds of the Week on iRadio.
We in the SSPDF, we have been also delivering timely report or accurate receipts. One good example was the explosion at Giada. When there was explosion in Giada, I was interviewed by iRadio. They posted it. It helped in making people know that the cause of explosions. This is where I have to say thank you to iRadio, because iRadio has been very responsive in terms of picking up any story and posting it. And iRadio, I think, has the largest listenership and readership, around 17 million. And most of Sudanese, whenever something is published by iRadio, it helps in bringing tensions down. I also would say, when there was gunfire at the residence of the former Director General of National Security, iRadio also came in handy. I was interviewed, published, and it also helped in making people know the cause. So one of the ways I've been building trust between you and the SSPDF is delivery of timely and accurate information. And I've been doing it even without being asked. Like when I was attending the ceremony in Bilpam, took pictures, video clips, and started sending them to media outlets before when I was asked, because they were not invited. And because it is in the best public interest, also iRadio responded.
Sounds of the Week on iRadio, your eye on South Sudan. Live from Juba, on air and online.
This is iRadio News.
A very good afternoon. It's 1 o'clock time for iRadio News. First, here are the headlines making top stories. The Minister of Information, Michael Makwelwath, has called on the media and the army to cooperate to rebuild public trust, describing it as fragile in need of careful restoration. The newly appointed governor of Upper Nile State, Jacob Dollar, has announced the temporary relocation of his office to Nasir County in a move aimed at directly engaging with local youth and addressing insecurity in the region. And the chief administrator of Pibor has raised concerns over the state of education in the region, saying most teachers have been volunteering without being formally included on the government payroll. These and more stories coming to you in the news bulletin with me, Wol Mapal, and now the news in detail. The Minister of Information, Michael Makwelwath, has called on the media and the army to cooperate to rebuild public trust, describing it as a fragile in need of careful restoration. Makwe made the remarks during a roundtable discussion held on Thursday. The event was organized by the Media Authority and the South Sudan People's Defense Forces. Makwe, who is also the government spokesperson, said both the SSPDF and the media should uphold professionalism, transparency, and respect for the rule of law to regain public confidence. He said journalists, the SSPDF, and other regular forces should cooperate for the job of the country. The minister also urged both the media and security organs to follow the law, saying freedom has its limits. He called for mutual understanding and collaboration between the army and the media to prevent arrest and misunderstandings.
Important to note that public trust is fragile but essential for effective governance and security. Public trust is fragile. By promoting professionalism, transparency, and adherence to the rule of law, the SSPDF and the media can rebuild and sustain this trust. What is important is the trust. When a journalist comes to you, don't be suspicious of the journalist. Take him for a colleague, a brother, a sister who is coming for an information that will help us in the government of South Sudan. That will help us as South Sudanese. That will help us in resolving some of our issues. And also the journalist, when he goes there, when he comes to the SSPDF or to any other regular forces, don't go with the intention of knowing everything, including confidential issues which you are not supposed to get.
The head of the Media Authority has called on media and security institutions to develop strong strategies to fight misinformation and protect the public from its negative impact. Elijah Alier, the managing director of the Media Authority, said the fight against fake news requires joint efforts between media houses and security agencies to ensure public safety. He made the remarks during a roundtable discussion held yesterday. The event was organized by the Media Authority in partnership with the South Sudan People's Defense Forces and Journalists for Human Rights. Alier urged the participants to come up with practical solutions to ensure timely and truthful information is shared with the public.
Countering misinformation is a challenge no institution can face alone. This workshop, a collaboration between the Media Authority and Journalists for Human Rights, provides a vital platform for dialogue and learning. Here, representatives from the armed forces and media professionals can develop practical strategies to promote truth and counter false. This partnership formalized through a letter of commitment in 2018 reflects our shared vision and dedication to nurturing a media landscape that is professional, vibrant, free, and grounded in constitutional principles.
And to Upper Nile State, the newly appointed governor, Jacob Dollar, has announced the temporary relocation of his office to Nasir County in a move aimed at directly engaging with local youth and addressing insecurity in the region. He's speaking on his state-run SSBC TV following a meeting in Juba with Vice President for Economic Cluster, Dr. Benjamin Ball, Male and Vice President for the Infrastructure Cluster, Taban Dengai. Governor Dollar said security remains his top priority. He added that the move would allow him to work closely with youth groups and community members, particularly in Nasir and Wulang counties, which are often affected by intercommunal violence and instability. Dollar noted that the root causes of youth involvement in violence, such as hunger and lack of opportunities, must be addressed. He called on the national government to provide more support for peace building and development efforts in the state.
I'm going to tackle or to work on the issue of security. But I told him that I needed support from the national government to ensure that the peace and stability is returned back in the country, particularly in the state, Upper Nile. And I also tell them that I will be going to the Nasser temporarily to relocate my office so that I will be able to engage with the youth and community, especially the Wyoming. And I also urge that the Wyoming also, this time around, this is the time for peace. Also address the challenges which they are facing. And I assured them, as the governor of Upper Nile, I will be ready to cooperate with you.
The Deputy Speaker of the National Legislative Assembly has described the cholera outbreak in Eastern Equatorial State as a very urgent crisis and directed the Parliamentary Health Committee to take immediate action. Honorable Pamena Hawari Alalong issued the directive during Thursday's sitting of Parliament after concerns were raised by lawmaker Grace Abalang regarding the spread of the disease in the eastern part of Iquitos County. The Deputy Speaker instructed the committee to summon the Health Minister and ensure a swift government response to the situation.
You have raised a very, very urgent issue, which is very important. The Committee of Health, the chairperson of the Committee of Health, can I just see where is the Committee of Health? You are a member of the Health Committee. Yes, this important, very urgent issue has to be seen by your committee to call the Minister of Health to look into that. This is an urgent case. Cholera does not wait for people to prepare. You have to let them be informed today about what has come from Eastern Equatoria to get our people safe. So, Honorable Mayor, and I advise you to do that. Inform your committee today. Say that you see the Minister of Health.
The concern was first raised by Grace Abalang, who told Parliament that several villages in the Kidibo Valley region of Iquitos County have been overwhelmed by cholera. She stated that the outbreak had exceeded the capacity of both County Health Department and the State Ministry of Health. Lawmaker Abalang urged the national government and the Parliamentary Health Committee to intervene urgently to prevent further loss of lives.
My information for today is cholera have swept eastern part of Iquitos, which is Kidepo Valley. Many villages overwhelmed with cholera, and our county department, our state ministry cannot handle the case, so I can request your office with the Committee of Health at least to tell the Ministry of Health to rescue the situation in Ikoto County, because people are dying and it's really out of hand, and the whole state and the county is overwhelmed.
The outbreak has prompted growing concern among lawmakers, with calls for coordinated action to contain the disease and support affected communities. You're listening to iRadio News. Finally, before regional and international stories, the chief administrator of PBOR has raised concerns over the state of education in the region, saying most teachers have been volunteering without being formally included on the government payroll. Gola Boyo Gola says many teachers have not received their salaries for the past 7 months, a situation he says is severely affecting the education sector. Speaking on SSBC yesterday, Gola explained that these challenges contradict agreements made at last year's governors' conference in Juba. In addition to unpaid salaries, he cited the limited availability of resources in some commercial banks and low student enrollment as further obstacles. He stressed that the lack of motivation among volunteer teachers often leads to irregular class attendance, leaving students without instruction. Gola called for urgent intervention from the national government and development partners to address these issues collectively and ensure tangible improvements in Greater PBOR's education sector.
On top of these challenges is the issue of volunteers. Most of the teachers have been volunteering without being enrolled in the government payroll, which is contrary to what we have agreed in the conference in Juba last year. The second issue is the issue of the delayment of the salaries. This is also one of the things that affect education sector in Greater Before. Most of the teachers have not been receiving their salaries for the last 7 months, and also the challenge of the availability of the resources in some of the commercial banks. So this is also one of the challenges. We also have the challenge of enrollment of the students, because most of the teachers are volunteers, and when they are not motivated, they will not attend classes, and that has been actually facing the student, because most of the students, when they come to the school, they don't find teachers, and that also require the national government intervention as well as development partners to come in, so that collectively we'll be able to do something tangible.
You are listening to iRadio News. Now to the regional and international stories. Here is James Atem.
Thank you, Wol Mapal, and here are the regional and international stories making headlines. Thousands of mourners are attending the state funeral of former Prime Minister Raila Odinga at the National Stadium in the Kenyan capital. Many are carrying national flags, portraits of the late leader, and wearing T-shirts printed with his image to pay their final respects. Security remains tight in and around the stadium, with police and military officers deployed to prevent a recurrence of the unrest witnessed on Thursday during the body viewing ceremony. Elsewhere, Colonel Michael Randrianarena has been sworn in as the new president of Madagascar days after a military takeover on the Indian Ocean nation. He swapped his fatigues for a suit to succeed ousted President Andry Rajoelina, who fled the country and was later impeached following weeks of youth-led protests demanding greater accountability from his government. The ceremony took place at the Constitutional Court in the capital, Antananarivo, where large crowds gathered to watch, including those who spearheaded the protest. And finally, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky will meet with US President Donald Trump in Washington on Friday as Trump weighs whether to arm Ukraine with Tomahawk missiles capable of striking deep into Russia. Their meeting comes a day after Trump said great progress was made during a phone call with the Russian President Vladimir Putin, with the pair agreeing to face-to-face talks in Hungary. Trump said the call, the first with Putin since mid-August, was very productive, adding that teams from Washington and Moscow will meet next week. And that's the end of the regional and international news with me, James Atem. Now back to you, Wol Mapal, in the studio.
Thank you so much, James Atem. And now to the sports. Here is Darlington Moses.
Thank you so much, Wol Mapal. In the world of sport, it's starting with home news. In South Sudan Premier League today, Holy Family will host Koryam FC Bor in what promises to be a competitive match. Both teams are looking to secure crucial points as the league season progresses. In tomorrow's matches, the long-standing Greater Barel Kizal derby Tech Center stage as Al Salam Awil clashes with Al Ghazal Wow. In the other match, Olympic rank will face Yei Lion Hunters in another key league game. Both sides are keen to climb the league table, and the match could be decisive for third mid-season standings. In some major sport development, Europe's top clubs, including some Premier League sides, have held discussions about using 6 substitutes per game to ease the workload on players. Sides met at the European Football Club's EFC General Assembly in Rome last week to discuss issues within the game. It was not officially on the agenda, but clubs had informal private discussions about utilizing 28-man squads up from the current 25 and 6 substitutes. Manchester United, Manchester City, Liverpool, Arsenal and Nottingham Forest were among those from the Premier League side in Italy. Football's rulemakers, the International Football Association Board, IFAF, would need to recommend any changes first, and it is unclear when, if at all, any changes would be made. And finally, former NBA most valuable player Russell Westbrook has signed with the Sacramento Kings as he enters his 18th season. The 36-year-old played the 2024-2025 seasons with the Denver Nuggets, averaging 13.3 points, 6.1 assists, and 4.9 rebounds in 75 games. The 9-time All-Star signed for the Kings after becoming a free agent in June once the Nuggets were eliminated in the Western Conference semifinals. Westbrook holds the NBA records for most triple-doubles with 203 and led the NBA in scoring in 2015-17. He joins his 7th team since being drafted in 2008 by the Seattle Supersonics. He also has played for the Houston Rockets, the Washington Wizards, and the Los Angeles, and as well as the Los Angeles Lakers and Clippers. This is all in the world of sport, and back to you, Wol Mapal.
Thank you so much, Darlington Moses, for the sports updates. And here brings us to the end of our stories this afternoon. But first, it is a quick recap once again. The Minister of Information, Michael Makwelu, has called on the media and the army to cooperate and to rebuild public trust, describing it as fragile and in need of careful restoration. The newly appointed governor of Upper Nile State, Jacob Dollar, has announced the temporary relocation of his office to Nasser County in a move aimed at directly engaging with local youth and addressing insecurity in the region. And finally, the Chief Administrator of Pibor has raised concerns over the state of education in the region, saying most teachers have been volunteering without being formally included on the government payroll. That is the end of our Radio Afternoon News. If there is a story or an event you would like our radio to cover or report about, please send us a text message on +211 925 287 870. It is our WhatsApp number. Follow us on X at iRadio Juba, like our Facebook page, iRadio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at iRadio South Sudan. You can also visit our website and listen to us online at www.iradio.org. Stay tuned for news in Arabic at half past the hour. I am Wol Mapal. Thank you for listening.